quick addendum before the video starts properly. I've just fast travelled to Far Harbour for the first time because this was normally a survival playthrough. Pray tell, how am I meant to get back? Hello, hello, and welcome back to my settlement archive. We are now in Far Harbour, where I have, I think, some of my best builds, because they are some of the last builds that I did. And starting off, we are of course at Longfellow's cabin, or more accurately for my playthrough, Longfellow Abbey. The story I was sort of going with here is, after travelling with Eric and, you know, remembering what human companionship is, Longfellow is now the commanding officer of the Minutemen here in Far Harbour. And his lowly cabin has turned into the first Minuteman settlement here in Far Harbour. I've immediately gone off the footpath. What's the footpath even?
Whatever.
Interesting. Anyway. So,
Just wanted to trade a few things.
no I didn't, but okay, thanks for offering game. So Longfellow's cabin. Oh, there's the man himself. As you can see, I've got a mod that adjusts his appearance. I also had a mod that adjusted Kate's appearance, but I don't know if I mentioned it. But pleasure to see you, Longfellow. His cabin is left mostly untouched because he's a grown man. He can do his own decorating. My excuse for why all the settlements have underwhelming decorations. A latrine with a water pump right next to it. Don't think too hard about the implications of that. And here the pathway starts. I'm not sure where the pathway is meant to start, but let's have a wander around the abbey. The workshop is largely, I think, what you'll find in vanilla, I believe. But heading up the path, the first place we have is one of the many bunkhouses. Unfortunately, the floor does clip through. There's very little I can do about that, but we do get some sort of interesting shapes out of this, which I think is nice. Heading back to the main path, we have the first structure I created, I remember this, the guard tower. Well, I'm just built different. And also the all-important comm office. It also seems that I have a spotlight by there, yes. Heading back down, we have probably the largest individual structure in terms of sheer floor square. What's the word? Floor plan. Anyway, yes, here is the bar. The bar at Far Harbour, formerly known as Bar Harbour, which has all these sort of like nice dining areas, seats.
You're from the Commonwealth, right?
Yes, obviously. As well as a brewmaster, and if we just poke our head in, a wasteland kitchen. What have I agreed to do now? And, as you can see, a guard post, which is actually being used, slowly, by one of our boys in blue. Barber was absolutely my favourite DLC, and I think my experience playing Fallout 4 was a lot of headcanoning to make the story more interesting, and I think this is where some of the more interesting choices came for Eric, who was, at that point, very sick of people dying on him after the failure at the Institute. We have, of course, the base game fog doohickeys, I forgot what they're called. And here, along the walk, we have the first of I think the only boxcar tunnel. This connects to a little clothing shop, which, as you can see, has 2 beds in there, and a variety of mannequins. Unfortunately, due to pathing issues, this is one of the... this is, I think, the only shop in the settlement that is not manned, despite the fact it should be. Carrying along down the abbey, we get to the general store, which is again a nice little stay. As I've recorded all of these videos over the course of about 2 days, the longer I record these, the more times we're getting attacked mid-tour. Please excuse me. Huh. That was easy.
Let's trade some things.
Thanks, mainlander.
I'm glad I was able.
Don't think we take it.
Right. Apologies. So yes, as I was saying, so this DLC I think was sort of the most interesting stuff you can get character-wise, especially with how Dima is a fantastic character. I love that they included him. Anyway, as we can see here, I think I've added a little repair to the pathway, since the entire settlement is kind of built around this pathway. It would be a shame if there was just a great big hole in it. We have a very, very simple general trader here who gets the job done, and a guard post, which admittedly, very unlikely it would ever get any real use, but we do have some guns facing outward just to be on the safe side. Now, this is the other biggest structure in the settlement, the armory and the weapons vendor. The weapons vendor, the shops unfortunately currently aren't manned, but I think that's more so due to the recent attack than anything. The armory is fully stocked with a bunch of lovely weapons. And does go over and into the waters, which I think is great. The waters at Far Harbour look fantastic. And here we have the denizens of the weapons and armor shop, who I have decided are a couple. You know, they have lovely windows looking out. It's honestly the nicest place to live in the settlement. And finally, at the end of the harbour, we have the last stop, with fishing things for the settlers who come here to do their fishing, and a doctor's office. The last stop, kind of a double entendre there, which I admit this is a little stupid, but we have 2 beds in here, and we also have somewhere to get rid of the dead bodies. At the last stop, of course. So apparently that's where I have the traders come. I don't actually know if they come all the way to Far Harbour. We have some wind generators, and the last thing of note is the workshop behind the last stop, where I keep the Vim power armors. This is one of the few things that I've built that actually seems half decently decorated. I'm not sure who's responsible for that, but it's certainly not me. Oh, thank God, a missile launcher that's facing the correct direction. It took me until the Far Harbour DLC to figure that out, apparently. But yeah, that's Longfellow's cabin. This settlement, I love it, because it has... it's one of the first ones that I've really put thought into, like, a bit of story, with Longfellow becoming the acting commander of the Minutemen in Far Harbour, and has this nice layout built around the settlement, which is my favourite thing to do with settlements, as I have said in many of these short videos. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we only have a few more settlements to go, which is interesting. End transmission.